always running, and my my title that I made was the bounds of scholar oppression in the societal labor. And what that means is that like squalor is the state of being unpleasant. So basically like poverty, how they were in poverty. And then oppression is unjust treatment. So basically what it means is like how the Mexicans and other races got mistreated by the whites. So that's why I came up with the bounds of scholar oppression in the societal labor. And so what this book is about, it's about a guy named Jose Rodriguez. He wrote a memoir, and it was to his son about his gang life when he was young and the things that he went through and the obstacles that got in his way, but where he stands now because of those things. And so when he was 9, that was the age that he started being in the gang. Because as a Chicano, he was basically he was living in poverty and mistreated by his society, and then he believed that being in a gang was the only way he was going to be protected. So in the 60s and the 70s, there was a big gang violence in California within the whites, the Mexicans, the Chicanos, if y'all don't classify the Mexican thing. And so as he turned 10, his life was centered around gang violence and drugs and sex and everything having to do in those areas. But through the guidance of his community, of his Mexican community, he got through that, and he ended up becoming a youth activist in the Chicano movement. So the quote I used was we were always afraid, always running. And so what I said first about this picture. Okay. So what I said first was, what I picked out was this lighting area over here. And what I said about it was that it meant like truth. So if you look closely, he's like running away from it. So he's like faced like this, like that. And he's like running away from what, I guess what truth is. So basically like what society is putting on him. So he's running away from all the obstacles that society has put against him. And then, if you look closely, there's no doors at all. So I said that there's no doors for him to run to, which is the reason he's always running. So that. And then I said that the truth part was what symbolizes, and then in society, he was escaping the obstacles put in front of him because he really didn't want to face the fact that there was like racism and discrimination. The whole theme of this book is poverty and discrimination. So Mexicans were discriminated at the time by the whites, even like the school teachers, their neighbors, police officers. They mistreated the Mexicans, and more because of the fact that they knew that he was an immigrant. So when he was in school, if you read this book, if you read the book in the first chapter, the first and second chapter, he talks about how in elementary he didn't know that much English. So they basically put him in a special ed class because of the fact that he didn't know English. And because of that, it encouraged him more to learn English. And when he finally learned English, the teachers still didn't want to take him out of the special ed class because he was Mexican. So yeah. My second quote was, "It seemed Mama was just there to pick up the pieces when my father's house of cards fell. She knew it would." And this is on the first chapter. And what he talks about is how his father was quick to give up as soon as society was. His dad was a teacher, and he couldn't make it as a teacher because when he was in Mexico and he taught in Mexico, he taught nothing but Spanish. So when he talked English, he talked it like it wasn't fluent. So it sounded like chopped up English. So the principal, he didn't want that type of person working for a school with nothing but white people. Well, it wasn't full of white people, but it was like nothing but Americans that actually knew how to talk English. And so I said from this image is that he's breaking through the still waters, which is him breaking through the barriers of what society places in front of the Mexicans. So the barriers are like the things that the Mexicans couldn't do because of the fact that there was racism and the whites were really unfair. During this chapter, during the second chapter, he and a couple of his friends that were in the gangs, including girls, they were in a beach. They went out of town or to a beach, and they were down and they were having fun, but they made the mistake of believing that they were basically big stuff. And this is when they had just started building their gang up, and they some white guys, they went and they were like trying to provoke them from doing something. And what they said was like, come on, beaners, you can't do anything. Come on, like, what are you gonna do? And they went up, and to think that they were gonna do something because they were the big gang. They thought they were the big gang around in California around the time, the South California to be exact. They went and they had like broken beer bottles and stuff, and the white guys were really police officers. Those police officers basically spit in their faces because they were laughing at the fact that they thought they were going to do something, but in reality they weren't going to do anything because they were going to be scared of the cops. So the cops basically mistreated them. They spotted the guys down, and they kicked dirt. One of the police officers kicked dirt in their faces, and basically screamed to their face, "You're a beaner and you're worthless," basically, but that's what he was trying to say. So, throughout this, I said that prejudice often singles out an individual while at the same time affecting an entire race, because it's one little boy. And so, as an individual, which is Louis, he thinks that they single him out at times, but in reality, it isn't just him getting singled out. It's the whole Mexican population as a whole, because it happens still to this day. My third quotation was, we're tired. Every time we try to better ourselves, we're told to wait, to hold on, that things will get better, but it never does. So what I got from this picture was that this plant right here, I said that was Louis as an individual. And I said that inequality sucks the life out of those who are experiencing it, because this is basically like a desert, and a desert is dry. And those, from the quote, he says that we're tired and we're tired of trying, because all they're doing is saying that things are going to change, but they never do. And the color is negative, but that's like towards the gang, that nobody sees anything positive about them. So automatically, when they saw a Mexican person, they automatically thought that just because they saw one person in the gang, that all Mexicans were in the gang too. And the depth of this picture, it's like never ending. So I said that inequality within a society seems to have no end to it. And I said that, well, the tree symbolizes Louis, and then the whole land is an extended metaphor, because racism, no matter like what they try to do, things never changed. And even if like they try to like stand up for what they believed in, it still was hard for them to get their word across. And still to this day, racism is still going on. And this book just basically emphasizes on the fact that people, even colored people, Mexicans, should stand up for what they believe in.
So the A team should be writing feedback for Crystal right now. And if you guys can kind of clean up your table with make a little stack of all the blank forms.